Hi guys, welcome back to The Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books. Two books. So I have a cozy mystery and a cozy contemporary romance. So let's do the mystery first. Misfortune Cookie, A Noodle Shop, Book 9 by Vivien Chein. 3 stars. I liked it. I liked it, but like I don't know. Okay, so let's get into it, right? So this book, I was gonna say this week on the Noodle Shop show. So basically the Noodle Shop is a family restaurant run by Lana. She is the youngest of 2 girls. She's the manager of the shop, and happenstance, amateur detective stuff happens. First, her best friend, who is the cook at the shop, at the restaurant, got accused of murder and she proved he wasn't, and then hijinks continued to happen, and she's dating a homicide detective named Adam. Her roommate is her best friend. I forgot her name because I am the worst, and I didn't write down because she's not really in this this book. She has an older sister, Anna May, who is like the perfect daughter, yeah. So this week I do really like Lana's personality, and I still like Lana's personality. I'm happy that the author clearly knows who Lana is, and we see her grow a little bit more into her own skin, especially in this book. I like that, right? Her relationship with her older sister, who anime annoyed the bejesus out of me, to the point where I was like, because I have an older sister, and at one point we were both teenage girls in the same house, in the same room, Thunderdome. And it made me thankful that my older sister was never, and is not to this day, not like naggy. She's not a naggy person. And I was like, thank God, because Anime is such a nagger. She's so annoying. So this book, Anime and Lana fly out to Southern California to go to, well, Lana's mother signed her up for a restaurant conference. And it looks like an Asian restaurant conference because there wasn't really talk about any other kind of cuisine but Asian when she went there, which is cool. That's fine. Love these covers, by the way. Love these covers. We'll talk about covers later, but I love these covers. And Anime decides to hop along with her because turns out Anime is a lawyer, and her hotshot lawyer boyfriend is married. So Anime wants to get the heck out of town for a while, and it's not that she knew. As far as she knew, Henry told her that he was getting a divorce, right? It doesn't look like it. So poor Anime. Poor Anime. Like, I felt bad for her when that was revealed and everything like that, because she's not a horrible character. She's just naggy, and because I can't stand naggers. So I was like, oh, just shut up. You know what I mean? Every time she was in the book. So the conference is in Southern California. Also, they take this moment to meet with their aunt, their mother's younger sister, who is a journalist. And you kind of get where Lana's inquisitiveness comes from, because I'm like, well, obviously Lana's like curious and keeps getting herself into these messes because like her aunt is a journalist, I mean, it runs in the family, and the aunt is really sweet. As always, the family feels really very viscerally real and grounded. It doesn't feel like anyone is a character in a book, which they are, obviously. I'm not that crazy. I know they're characters in the book. It's just they feel very grounded, and you can see a lot of your own family members in them. You know what I mean? Their aunt's best friend is murdered at a cocktail party they're all at, and I'm like, girl, Lana, everywhere you go there's a murder, girl. You are Jessica Fletcher status right now. Look at you, Murder, She Wrote. What? So like, and her the cops aren't very like forthcoming, and the aunt is like, Lana, you have to help me. They think it's an accident, and I know it wasn't. So Lana's like, yep, I'm gonna help. And there's a couple of like Lana working through some stuff, right? Because the last book, it was a pretty scary confrontation with the murderer, and she thinks Adam's mad at her. She thinks, you know, and he's not. And I'm happy they addressed this in this book. They're not having problems. It's kind of in her own head, and she's working through it, right? It did surprise me that she landed in Southern California. It didn't like shoot out a, hey, I'm alive text to like anybody. You know, that surprised me. Maybe it's just my family, because we all travel a lot. So when we travel, we're like, hey, I landed, or I'm about to take off, you know, just keep in touch, you know. So I was surprised she didn't call Adam for like a couple days after she landed. And I was a little surprised by that. But when they call and talk, it's a very cute banter and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, they're okay. And then later Adam's like, no, we're good. I think you worked yourself up into a tizzy, but we'll talk about when you get home, you know. So that was just, because like these cozy mysteries, you know, when there's a couple, you can't like, there's a certain point where if you keep like having them have the same argument, as a reader, I'm like, shut the f up, like enough. You've had this argument like 8 times, I'm done, you know. And that could be part of my personality, you know. I don't see there's a point in having an argument. Sure, argument can happen once or twice, but like at that point, you should be on the road to working it out, you know what I mean? Or for whatever reason you're not, then you need to figure out why you don't want to work this out, because maybe there's something else going on, you know. I mean, that's my own personal mythos? No, that means word. That's my own personal thought process on that, right? So I was like, oh great, are they arguing again, you know? But it did seem that it was all in Lana's head, right? So I was like, okay. The mystery, it was pretty, again, the mystery was good. And who did it, it was obvious, and like there's clues from the beginning of how that worked. So I like that. The confrontation was on the page, was really good. I think the only reason for me that it was 3 stars is because the timing of the book seemed a little off. Like it seemed a little slower than her other books, which I thought was odd because it's not any bigger. Oh, I forgot. It was published in 2023. It's 326 pages. Sorry, I forgot about that. It just, the story dragged a little bit. There was a lot of them taking naps in the middle of stuff, and I get it, you know, jet lag. No, even with jet lag, like, okay, come on, you know, you've been there like 3 days, you're taking a nap in the middle of stuff. The police detective that was in charge of it, I think, he was a little over the top mean. Like there was no reason for him to be such a jerk. You know, it was kind of like, well, this book doesn't think all cops are jerk because Adam, you know, so that's weird. It's just like the timing seemed off, right? And the red herrings were red herrings, but like if you know who did it and then you go back into it, there's not that many clues laid out to point to it, just because I know how this writer writes, and I was like, oh, that's who did it, you know, in the beginning. Yeah, in the beginning, but that's just because I'm a freak. And I noticed that pattern in this person's writing. That's why. Did I still enjoy it? Yes. Is it my favorite one? No. And another thing, like the pacing was off for me. And anime, shut the f up. You know, I mean, like seriously, like she was so annoying this whole time. Annoying, right? I was just looking at my notes. Anime was super annoying, but Aunt Grace, I loved her. I loved everything about her. I loved in her friend's widow, in the middle of her friend's office, Aunt Grace did like the best. How dare you, no, how dare you, sir, you know, because he caught Lana snooping, and she's like, the widower was like, are you going through my wife's stuff? And Aunt Grace is like, how dare you suggest such a thing? Lana, I loved that scene because it was so funny, because like, yeah, Lana was snooping. She was. And like I loved how Aunt Grace just like, oh, clutch the pearls, how dare you? You know, I really enjoyed it. So there's parts of it I really, really enjoyed. I liked that now Lana has gotten to the class of Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote, and everywhere she goes, there's a murder. Fun. There being like a conflict in the relationship, boring. It's book 9, you know? So that annoyed me until that was like, so that came up pretty early in the book, and it wasn't settled until she talked to him in like the 3rd act, and he's like, no, I'm not mad. So we kind of had this whole weird, oh, Adam and I are having problems, but they weren't really. So I think that kind of dampened my enjoyment of this book this time. Do I love this series? Yes. Am I going to continue to read them? Yes. Am I having fun reading them? Also yes. Like a 3-star for me is not a bad thing, you know what I mean? Okay, so the second book is the Cozy Contemporary Romance, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Dream Harbor Book 2, published in 2024 and 343 pages. This is the story of Hazel and Noah. So Hazel is runs like basically the manager of the bookstore, and Noah is an outsider that came in like last year, and he does fishing tours, like, you know, groups that like, hey, me and my kids want to go fishing, but we don't have a fishing boat, like they would, you know, or bachelorette party, things like that. And on the off season, he bartends, right? So this is also 3-star. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Like that was kind of the theme for the week. Like I enjoyed myself, but I wasn't like enjoying myself, you know? Wait, no. Like I liked the books, but I didn't love the books, you know? Okay. So Hazel, she's about to turn 30, and she's having like a midlife crisis because she's always been responsible. And then, you know, 30, she's going to be old. And I was like, 30 is not old. How dare you? How dare you? And, you know, she wants to be wild and crazy because she doesn't want to have regrets. And I'm like, 2 months till her birthday, and then all of a sudden she wants to be like the wild child. I was like, okay, I guess she's having like a midlife crisis kind of thing. Fine. I cannot relate because in my late teens and all through my 20s, I was a fucking psychopath. So I cannot relate. No. When I look back on it, I'm kind of like, how am I not dead? So I cannot relate. And 30 is not old. Like it's not like, okay, when you're a teenager, I feel like you kind of change personalities like every day, you know? And then, cause you're trying stuff out, right? And then your 20s, it's like the first time you're an adult, first time you're on your own. You're going through a lot of growing pains, right? So I always say you're a new person every couple of months, you know? And 30 is like with everything kind of combines. You know, I always say like 30 is like the uber adult, you know, you've finished college or gone back to college, you know, you've even like switched careers, you've gone through a loss in the family, weddings, you know, their births, deaths, you know, you just go through a lot, you know. That's why I'm always like, by 30, you're kind of like uber adult, you know, you are like a real adult, you know. 20s, you're still figuring out, you know. So her freaking out on her that she was gonna be 30 was a little ridiculous to me, but fine. Hazel is like the classic, I'm a shy Debbie Downer that only reads books. As if reading books makes you a boring person. I don't think I'm a boring person, and I read a lot of books. I'm pretty sure I drive people actually kind of crazy. Because I can be a lot, you know? So I'm just like, okay. You know, I hate when being illiterate and being, you know, reading for pleasure is a personality trait. Like, I really hate that. And unfortunately for Hazel, it kind of seems that's what it is, right? She finds in the romance section books like Miss Shelves. She looks at it and it's dog-eared and highlighted in passages. And I was like, in a bookstore? That's horrible. But they lead to like little clues to kind of do a little scavenger hunt, you know? and the clues are very relevant to who she is, right? So obviously somebody she knows her really well, like since she was a kid, right? And Noah has the biggest crush on her. Now Noah is kind of like the town sexy man, okay? So like it's pretty known throughout town he sleeps with tourists all the time, and only tourists. I liked Noah's personality. I thought it was a bit different. I liked, in the first book, I liked Logan's too, right? Noah's personality, he's very charming, very charismatic, very extrovert, very outgoing, but like there's a lot of insecurities underneath, which, you know, that happens. And I think he's a very sweet person. And you find out what his deep dark secret is and why he thinks he's stupid and stuff like that. And I did love the scene. I really did love this scene. This is probably why it's 3 stars and not like a boring 2, you know? This scene where Hazel, like it's towards the 3rd act, and Hazel's like, don't do this, because he wants to do a project where he like renovates old historical fishing houses on the coast of the town that are all decrepit, sort of like make them historical Airbnb kind of thing, like rentals, right? And she's like, don't do this for me to prove yourself or something like that, because I think you're smart, I think you're wonderful, do this because you want to, you know? And I thought that was a really sweet scene, because he's been very sweet to her the whole time, and she hasn't been mean to him or anything, but I think that was the first time like I felt like they actually had an emotional connection, you know? So, you know, he has a crush on her, so he goes to the bookstore a lot, and, you know, he's tried her recommendations, and, you know, he didn't think he would like reading for pleasure, because he doesn't think he's very intelligent. Also, reading for pleasure doesn't mean you're an intellectual. It's just a hobby, right? Anyway, that's such a weird stigma that has existed. Well, it's existed for hundreds and hundreds of years, so okay. But like she picks some like fantasy adventure books, and he really likes them, you know, so he's discovering new things about him. I did like that he was younger than her, because she's about to turn 30 and he's 25. I did like that. I'm like, ooh, fun. It's 5 years, who gives a, you know, I did like that she was like, oh gosh, you're younger than me, like a little, because like who wouldn't be a little like, oh no, you know? I did like that. I liked their chemistry eventually, you know? He sees that there's a scavenger hunt going on. He's not a part of it. He wants to help figure out who it is. They don't really focus on that little weird mystery. It's more about like them getting down. And I will say, this is a saucy book. I've read worse, not worse, but more sexually explicit books, but this is not a Fade to Black. None of the Dream Harbor series are Fade to Black, no matter what the cover might lead you to believe, because the covers are the worst. And I'll get into that rant in a second. That's gonna be a long one. So, you know, I think they do get really intimate pretty fast for a romance novel. I like my yearning, and there wasn't yearning in this, you know? And I didn't feel like there was that much of a connection till the 3rd act. It has a cute ending, cute epilogue. It's cute. It's cute. You know what I mean? That's why it's a 3-star. It's cute. Nothing crazy. Will I read the next one? Probably. Now, as you can see what the cover looks like, this looks like a cozy mystery. And I'm not talking to the author, who I didn't even say the author. Oh, Laurie Gilmore. Sorry. But I'm not even like talking to the author, because they have no say. I'm not even talking to the artist who did this, because, you know, the fact that you can make a living with your art in any economy, that's amazing. And you get a brief, you fulfill that brief. You know what I mean? You do you. This isn't to you. This is to literally the publishing company. And this is like one more chapter. Publishing, I think they belong to HarperCollins. What are you doing? You know? This is a cozy mystery cover. And, oh, but it's, you know, it's in the romance section in the bookstores. Yeah, sure. I mean, where are you getting your books? Because like Target and Walmart, there's like there's no separation. Barnes & Noble's, okay. But when I saw this at Barnes & Noble's, I thought someone picked up a cozy mystery and put it on the shelf incorrectly. That's what I thought. You know what I Do I like the little zhuzh of the gold foil? Sure. But you know, it looks like a cozy mystery. And this is, you know, because I've read a lot of people, like watched a lot of people talking about like, you know, the history of romance covers, like Jack Edwards and stuff. Great video. You know, he goes through the history of it and all this stuff. I've seen a lot of people like ranting about the more YA looking covers for romance novels and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's the marketing teams in these big publishing that are doing it, you know? I don't know why they're being lazy asses and not actually doing their job, but here we are, you know? And a lot of people think old-fashioned clutch covers like say this is like super indecent. Why? She's fully clothed, he's got a shirt open. Like, what? They're in an embrace. How is that indecent? Also, like, have you never ever been to a museum? Like, this is what art is. Like, what do you mean? Like, literally, what do you mean? Like, to the point where these covers, like this one, you know, are now seen as almost collectibles, you know, by myself as well. You know, I have Angel by Johanna Lindsay in another book that doesn't have the clutch cover. And I saw this at a thrift store with it, and I got it, even though I already have this book, because this is gorgeous. You know what I mean? And like, people are like, oh, it's a dying art. I was like, art, you know, in colleges, art classes are still teaching figure drawing. Like, that's, no. And there's plenty of like, I don't know who they are, but here we go. And they do like illustrated clutch covers, but like, this is cute, you know? But like pucking around and stuff like that, like, that is not a romance cover. This cover is not a romance cover. You know what I mean? So, and don't tell me like, oh, it's the trend. No, you make the trend, you know? And these marketing departments aren't even doing market research, right? Because sometimes I get a little obsessed and I get a little cuckoo. I went on the burner account and I checked because my algorithm is algorithming for me, right? So I wanted to see what other people thought. No one likes the covers like pucking around and stuff like that. No one loves them. Some people don't hate them, some people don't care, you know what I mean? But like, so many more people hate it, you know? And there's covers like the Hannah Shields, I believe they're independent author, you know? Look at that. A man on the cover, kind of mogging for the camera, doing a blue steel look. He has a shirt on. We know this is a romance cover, you know? Historical romances, you know, a beautiful woman in a huge ball gown in the middle of a field. Romance cover. Allie Hazelwood's new book, Deep Dive. It's just two hands holding each other. We know that's a romance book. In fact, like, it kind of gives kinky vibes. Like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, is this a kinky? It is. It's a BDSM book, you know what I mean? So I think the thing that drives me so nuts is that because of these marketing companies, publishing companies, are being lazy or trying to create a new trend that's not trending, they're, like, what really just, is they're doing the book banners work for them. They're giving them talking points that they use in their town forums where maybe like the elected officials aren't online as much as I am to understand the nuance that's going on. You know what I mean? That's what bothers me. So why the hell is the marketing team at HarperCollins being lazy little fucks? Like, why aren't you doing your goddamn job? Do your goddamn job. Do market research, see that no one likes it, and then, like, again, there's so many different ways to do romance covers that aren't explicit. And by the way, a guy having a shirt open, how is that explicit? Like, really? I mean, come on. You must, like, if you think a guy having a shirt open on a romance cover is explicit, you must have a really hard time at the beach. You must have like an aneurysm when you go to a pool. Like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna go because I gave myself a headache. So I don't want to. It's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.